The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. That's right, the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. My name is Crispin Valentin. I have DJ Vara, my co-host. How you doing today, DJ Vara?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. I know why you're doing great.
Why?
Because it seems that you had a little trip that you took somewhere.
I sure did.
That makes you, for its reputation, it's a very beautiful place, but it also can get you very chill.
Real chill.
All right. Tell me, where did you went?
I went to Colorado for the weekend. What? I went for about 5 days.
Yeah, I was going to say it was more than a weekend, right?
Yeah.
All right. What area did you go to in Colorado?
I went to Fort Lupton, Brighton, and Denver.
All over the place.
Yeah. That's where all my family's.
All right. And what place? Because I know you were all over the place over there. What areas did you go to exactly?
Well, I got to go
like a specific like sites and stuff like that.
Well, I saw the where the Denver Broncos play.
Oh, the stadium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I found out that there's actually a bar near the stadium where they only, like on game day, they only allow people with cowboy jerseys.
I saw your post that I was going to comment something because there's actually one, like, there's in a lot of cities. Like, there's one in Tucson, Arizona. Like, They got bars where there's nothing but cowboy people.
Nice.
Like, well, in fact, even the one that you sometimes be DJing, but that's not cowboy. That's more like Patriots and I think like New York fans. Oh. So they got them all over the place, like where, fans go and gather and do their thing. And what other area? What else did you see?
I got to go to the mountains. So I went to the casinos, Black Hawk.
Did you go to Pikes Peak? That's in Denver. Like
I don't think
1,500. They cheering for you.
Oh, yeah, I hear them. Thank you. Thank you.
We have, we record at Fishbowl Radio Network. Shout out to them. 12 years of being in business. Yay. So that's a cheers for them too. We record at an old stadium that's still functional, that so happens to house Friday Night Light games that I was not aware of. And it slipped my mind when I changed the days to Friday. So we record Friday. So if y'all hear cheers, don't worry about it. Just focus on what we're doing right here. All right. So what else did you see over there? I'll say you got this. You saw the stadium. You saw the bar with the Cowboys fans gathering. What else?
Well, I went to the mountains, and then I just hung out with my family a lot.
Yeah. What mountains was it again? You don't remember the name of them?
The big one.
The big ones. Pikes Peak is the one I think is the biggest one. It's 1,500 feet up there, like above sea level. It takes a minute to get over there.
I'd have to look it up.
That's pretty cool.
I have bad memory.
Yeah, and then your family. You spend a lot of time with family.
I got to see my family.
What's your most memorable meal that you have?
Memorable meal?
Memorable meal. Yeah, like one of your favorite meals that you have over there while you were over there.
Oh man.
You're not a foodie, right? You don't be just looking for food, like particular dishes?
Well, I'm on a seafood diet.
Oh, you
so
see
I
it
see
and you
food
eat
and
it.
I eat it.
You didn't know that. Ta-tan. All right, so I went to Las Vegas. So I have this urgency for whatever reason to just take a spontaneous trip to Vegas. So within 3 days, I made it happen. I booked everything. It's pretty reasonable pricing still. So I went to do a gig on Friday, and that day my flight was leaving. I left about 10:30. My flight was moved. Okay, so if you're traveling right now, advice. I don't know if it happened to you, right? So my flight was supposed to leave at 10:30. I got there with enough time to make it to my flight, do everything, and then be on there. So when I was getting to my gate, I started hearing something. If you're flying to, and I heard Vegas, I'm like, did they say that they moved my gate? And sure enough, I get to the place where I'm supposed to be at, and I look at it, and then that flight's going somewhere else. And then I hear it again, like, see something. And they're like, oh my goodness. So I have to make my way over there to the train.
That happened to me.
Yeah. Move it over. Finally make it within like 20 something minutes before my flight left. And then I got in my flight.
I almost missed mine on my way back.
For the same reason they did that to you?
Well, because also I was late. So I was running. I was cutting in front of people.
See, what happened was I was on time, so that was not my doing. But it is happening a lot. The moving gates, right?
Yeah, because I actually ended up being on time because I ran so fast. But then they changed my gate 3 times, and I was like, man, if I wouldn't have been here, I wouldn't have known.
If anybody works at any airlines, can you tell us what's going on? Why are they changing so many gates so much?
Yeah, I know. Stop changing the gates.
At the time that I left, I know there was a storm, so I don't know if that had anything to do with they changing my gate, but I know that happened. So again, I have no idea, but I know that happened, and I know that Vegas, by the time I was landing, had some storms too or something like that. So anyways, so I get there, check my hotel, go do my thing.
What'd you do?
Stuff, sightseeing. Went to play a little gambling, little club, and just one around Vegas, because I've been there before a couple of times, but this is the first time I've been sober going over there. So it's a difference, it's a whole difference. There's people that are very strange. They're having a good time, but I'm just saying, it's just, you see it with different lenses when you go there. So it was cool. Came back, went to a vegan restaurant, because, I don't eat meat. I'm mostly plant-based vegan. And I went to the Modern Vegan in Las Vegas. So I so happened to be that usually like vegan stuff, they don't really give you big portions of food. So I order 2 appetizers and I order my main course, which is like tacos, and every freaking thing was big. Like I couldn't eat it. It was too much food.
You know what, that happened to me, and when I was at the casino, I ordered some lo mein. I thought, they're gonna bring me this little plate. They brought me a mountain of lo mein, and I had to take it to go.
Bunch of noodles they brought you.
Yeah,
that's what's up. All right, so that was my little trip. Came back within 24, 25, 26 hours somewhere, and then I was already back and ready to go again. We're already planning my next trip, and I'll tell you when I take off. All right. So on this episode, we're going to be telling you, remember, we call them episodes, but in Espanol, we call them capítulos, because we bring you stories of these Latinos. They're making an impact, have made an impact, and continue to do so and make a difference. And, on this one, we have very, very, very unique stories, from living in an apartment to cooking and in a closet, to having a growth syndrome that might prevent you from, growing to a full-size person and becoming one of the best football players there is, to self-proclaimed, but I don't know if he's self-proclaimed because he has books of the king of ceviche.
There's a king of ceviche.
There is a king of ceviche. I'm going to tell you all about him in this episode. All right, let's get into it. First Latino, Jorge Gilberto Ramos Ávalos, a.k.a.
George Ramos.
Jorge Ramos, that's right. Born March 16, 1958 in Mexico City, Mexico. He's a Mexican journalist and mostly one of the most famous Hispanic or Latino newsmen in the United States. He's well known for he has different programs in Univision. One of them that's well known is Al Punto. And he did a fusion of mixed English and Spanish programming with Fusion TV. And they kind of mixed stories. They went and cover. Do you know how many places he's been? Historical events he's covered?
He's covered about 5 wars.
Yeah. So, and tell me a couple of the other ones that he's covered before.
Well, he ranged from like the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
And the war in Afghanistan.
So, war in Afghanistan. Even, again, so Berlin Wall, if you don't know about it, that was like when the wall of Berlin was taken down a long time ago in Germany. If you don't know about history, I don't know much either, but I know that wall was taken down. And, of course, the war in Afghanistan is prevalent now because everybody's talking about it, because it was time to leave. And what do you... Okay, so do you know... Have you ever heard of Jorge Ramos?
Yeah.
I know you've seen him before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you know about him at all? Like off the cuff. I mean, I know we did some research, but off the cuff, you know anything about him? Besides being in news and looking like...
He's been around a long time.
Anderson Cooper. He looked like Anderson Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So he is Okay, let's talk a little bit, just a little bit, about the Afghanistan war, because everything that is happening right now. What's your take on it? Do you care? Are you interested at all? I know you don't watch a lot of stuff, but have you heard anything? Facebook stuff, that people be posting? Anything?
Little bits and pieces, but I forget. What about you?
Here's my take on it, because I'm ex-military. It's gonna sound bad, and I'm so sorry for these people that are going on with things and lives being lost. It's not good when any lives are lost at all, especially, well, not especially, but overall, any loss of life is a sad thing. Especially with this really not a. I guess the purpose of going over there was to take out Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda, and then that was done, and we stayed there for I don't know how many reasons. I've seen some reporting that they asked relevant politicians why we're there, and they couldn't even answer the reason why we've been there so long. So to now having to make the decision to take them out, because the previous administration had already signed an agreement to take them out. So this administration honored that and took out the troops. To the military being trained by us being taken down like quickly, it's just like sad. That means that you don't really have a will to fight for your own country, and that's not okay. After a while, you have to have the will to defend your own homeland and fight for your country. And the loss of lives of Americans being there, and you're not willing to do and defend, just doesn't sound okay to me. Yeah. I just don't like that. And not to mention, even though he is Jorge Ramos is in the news and he does the news, and I think he makes every effort to do the best thing he can to report accurately. Unfortunately, the news, like for me, right, just relevant, like looking at the news, there's no way that the world stops. Nothing else is worth reporting to say the same story over and over. You know what I mean? Like there's no way. Or maybe 3 stories repetitive over and over and over. That's just no way. The world doesn't stop. So meaning that it's a purpose why they run in the same story to create panic amongst the public, and I don't like that. And a lot of the times, other entities, companies that have more money than the politicians and everybody else, have a lot of influence within the news. I don't know how much leeway he gets. I'm pretty sure he does best that he can, but he has a boss. He doesn't own the network, right? So eventually he gets told after a while, this is what you need to cover, even though he might say that he doesn't, and whatever the case might be. Believe me, bro, you do. You might not, but you do. So that's what I don't like. The fact that the news covers the story makes you think there's the same thing happening over and over. Because, like, Afghanistan is a whole country, right? It's a big country. And all of a sudden they focus on this small area. Like, what else is going on in the other areas, Is it the same thing? Do they even know what's going on?
They don't want us to know.
Again, it's just so weird to me. I just like whatever. But anyway, back to Jorge Ramos. So again, I hope the troops come back. I think everybody from the last time I heard, everybody's already out. So I hope everybody's made it back. And you do have to defend your country after a while. You have to, fight for your land. All right. So he is a Roman Catholic, even though he's not a practice. Now he claims he doesn't believe in Catholic religion, or he doesn't really exercise being religious. You know why? He claims that when he was in Catholic school, because that's where he attended, he was actually abused by priests. Abused? I don't really know exactly what he meant by, like mistreatment or different abuse. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the Catholic religion does have a lot of bad publicity with certain things that happen with priests and children. It's not like I'm making it up. It's all over the news and different things like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he wanted to interview the Pope, but I'm pretty sure the Pope doesn't want to answer any questions because, certain questions he might not ask, he might not like the answer. Or
does he get interviewed though?
I think he's given interviews before, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, actually he has. Yeah, there's a few people that has gotten to talk to the Pope and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's one-on-one sitting down. I think maybe it's just general questions. Maybe not. Honestly, I don't know. And so he, again, he does not really a very advocate religious person anymore. He went to Bosque de Achegarey. he was raised in the neighborhood of Bosque de Achegaray. That's the neighborhood he was born. In Neucalpa, that's a suburb in Mexico City. I don't know what that's at, but if you know where is that, please let me know. Okay, so, I don't know if you watched one of the videos. So do you know the reason why he left Mexico?
No, why?
So, Jorge Ramos was given an opportunity to be in the news in Mexico. So he took it. And he didn't like the way that the Mexican president was handling stuff. So he decided to cover that and sue the president of Mexico. So
did he win?
His boss didn't like that because whether you want it or not, Mexico has a history of corruption, like well-known corruption. Mm-hmm. At that time, there was, they call it Los Pinos. Los Pinos is the equivalent to the White House. Okay. So that's where the president lives. And there was a direct connection with the networks and the Pinos. And then the guy that was over him was like, hey, you can't be talking about the president like that. Like, well, this is like, no. And Jorge got replaced by another guy that would tell the story the way that the network or the Pinos wanted to happen. So he didn't like that, and he quit. He took all his belongings and moved to with a student visa to California. So he went to California in '83, and he was given an opportunity. What was the name of the network? He was given an opportunity to finally land his first gig. You know what that is? What network was it?
I can't remember.
KMEX. Channel 34, that's an affiliate of Univision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was given an opportunity to start off his career there. So they're an affiliate of Univision, and they gave him an opportunity. Before that, he used to live at a house. They call it the Pink House. So they pay I think it was $5 a night to sleep, but they couldn't use the kitchen. So they used to have to cook in the closet.
What?
That's what he said in one of the interviews. That's pretty cool, right? Well, it's not cool. It's struggling, but they made it happen.
Burn the closet.
They could have, but they made it happen, and they were able to cook something. I don't know how I wonder how you would cook. I'm guessing one of those little. I don't know. A little
without burning your clothes.
Burner or something. I don't think it was I don't know. Anyways, they made it happen, and that's where he went. Where did he graduate from? Can you tell me?
Yeah, he graduated from La Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City, where he majored in communications.
All right. And what else he has?
He has a master's degree in international studies from the University of Miami.
Yep. In 2007, the University of Richmond conference as an honorary doctorate of letter to him. So they gave him an honorary doctorate for him for what he's been doing. So he's a very advocate of immigration. He fights a lot for immigrants for the same reason that he's an immigrant. So that's one of his main causes that he does, right? He focuses a lot on giving light and immigration questions, and pretty much he's interviewed Bush. He's interviewed President Bush, the last President Bush, President Obama. He tried to ask questions the previous guy from the previous last term. And I don't know if he had any interaction with Biden recently. So all the administrations, and most of the times, is related to immigration reforms or some kind of immigration. So he's not about that. He's about that, right? He talks about it, but he really asks about it. Like President Obama, he has the same thing. Like, hey, you saying you're doing this. What are you doing? Like, oh, you're right, George. I haven't come up with a thing. I work on it. Didn't happen. Same thing with this other guy. So the last guy actually kicked him out from, granted, Jorge Ramos forced himself to because he wasn't going to give it an opportunity to. So he takes the title of being a rebel. Jorge Ramos does. So let me tell you the story. So the last administration, the last guy, I don't want to say his name.
Me either.
But the last administration, the last guy, he was doing Jorge Ramos wrote a letter to him and sent it to New York, where he used to stay at, with his telephone number. Said he wanted to have a one-on-one with him. This petty guy posted his number on social media.
No.
And one day he said he woke up and all of a sudden it's like his phone was blowing up. But like, what the heck is going on? And so one of his colleagues said, like, hey, do you know your phone is all over social media? Like, what? Like, oh, shoot. Sure enough, his number was like put out there. So he said, okay. He got credentials to go and be part of one of those conferences where they ask you questions. The other guy asked, who's next? And Jorge Ramos, again, he's like a rebel. He's going to make his way. He did forcefully got up and started asking questions about immigration. The other guy trying to be like, you know, the way he is, like, it's not your turn, blah, 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 this and that. And they kicked him out. But that guy realized that being one of the most famous Latino in the news, you don't want to kick him out. So the look was that he got kicked out, and he was kicked out, but then he was brought back in later, and he was able to ask the questions that he wanted to. For the same reason, he realized, like, if I kick this guy out and he goes into his network that he has millions of Latinos, the look of him getting kicked out is just not a good look. And what he said, go back to Univision. Go back to Univision. That's code term for go back to where you're from. But Jorge Ramos is a citizen of the United States. And shortly after he got out, there's another guy that confronted him talking about this and that is not about you. Go back to where you come from. Like, I'm an American citizen. I'm like, well, whatever. Like, what are you talking about? He's an American citizen. He has an accent and everything, but he's from the U.S. Like, he wasn't born here, but he went through the process and everything and became a U.S. citizen. So he has every right to ask a question. And especially being from the press. So you got he's part of the press. So you have, you know, the obligation as to be part of the press to ask the question that he wanted to. Again, I understand and see it from the other side that he kind of did force himself to ask those questions. But I don't think if he took the opportunity to do that, he would have never had a chance to ask his questions, you know. So eventually he did. So what do you think about that?
It's interesting.
That is so hilarious to me that he posted his number. That's sad.
It sounds like something he would do, though.
Yeah.
Because he's petty.
Super petty. Yeah. All right. What were some of the awards that he has won so far? Can you tell me?
Yeah.
Look at you. All right. So Ramos has won 10 Emmy Awards and the Maria Moon Cavett Prize for Excellence in Journalism. And he's also been included at Times Magazine, one of the most influential Latinos or influential people. He has covered, as I mentioned, most of the presidents and has interviewed one-on-one. But some of the most famous world leaders that he has interviewed is Fidel Castro, which he didn't have a good interaction with. Hugo Chavez, I'm sorry. That was president of Venezuela before he passed away, as I mentioned, Barack Obama. And again, he's one of the most advocate for immigration reforms and fights for immigrants. And I think that's a beautiful thing that he does because whether we want it or not to do, this is the Global Latin Factor podcast for the same reason that we try to let you know what we've done within the influence of the world. But it's just the U.S. itself was built by immigrants. You know what I mean? Like your grandma was here before it was even the U.S. It was Mexico at that time, you know, and the border Texas crossed her over. She didn't cross the border, you know. So she didn't
go nowhere.
So it's been it's a rooted thing here in the U.S. It's just part of who we are. You can't. That's the foundation of this nation. That's what I'm gonna be saying now. The foundation of this nation, like that. I know you like that. The foundation of this nation, because it really is, right? Whether we want it or not, that's how it started, and we can't take away what was built. It's just you can't. All right. Anything else you have on Jorge Ramos that you have questions? What do you think? You think he looks like Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's the hair.
He's pretty, again, I think every journalist, for the most part, I'm not going after the news but there is a lot of bad stuff within the news now that is just the same thing over. Like if you watch a certain channel and then like watch 3 networks, Okay, so if you ever want to form an opinion for yourself, watch about 3 to 4 networks. Just watch them. Don't stick to one and all of a sudden get brainwashed to watch the same thing over, because whether you want it or not, if they keep repeating the same message, that before you know it, you're gonna believe. That's the reason why there's the way there certain people are. Watch all of them with nothing, like no bias, like no like decision form, right? Watch all 3, 4 networks. Just watch the way they do. It's night and day. First of all, 2 of them most likely are gonna be similar, and 2 are gonna be similar, completely different sides. And then do your own independent research. There's some YouTube channels that do their own independent things that kind of sort of stay within the middle. And then later on form your own opinion is which way, like if you want to. I just hardly ever watch the news either. I watch clips here and there just because of this. But I don't like to watch the news. I really don't, even though it seems like I know about the news. But I just, I
used to watch a lot, like...
It's not good.
Like Fox 4, not really not 33, good. But...
I'm sorry.
Channel 5.
Fox is not the best one to watch. If you're going to watch anything, make sure it's not an opinion host. Make sure it's an actual journalist that has a degree in journalism, that is like an actual reporter that's been out in the field and talks about the actual news. Not somebody that renders their opinion that the background just looked like the news, but it's not the news. You know what I mean? That's like a front. Because it's not the news. They look like the part. They have the. I can come. I'm gonna do a test too, and where I'm gonna be dressing like in a tux, and I'm gonna see if we get our views up. I'm just gonna play with y'all. Sorry, I'm just gonna.
What should I wear?
Now. Same thing, something sophisticated. Oh. And we're gonna see if we get more views, because it's an image, right? It's all in our heads and our brains embedded that we look like somebody that's an authority figure. Like looking like this, I'm pretty sure we kind of don't, even though we're gonna be the one of the most seeked Latino channels. But at the end of the day, it's still the same thing. It's just like the look itself goes with it. But it's not the same thing on podcast, because a lot of times it's just the voice. So, all right. I forgot to say something. So, in my Vegas trip, I met some real cool people within that time frame, and one of them was a veteran from, like, I forget what war it was, but he was like an old school veteran guy. And then I met Marlene, which was one of my Uber drivers. Shout out to her. I didn't tell her about the podcast, but I told the people about the podcast. There's, I think, Steven, and then there's Ben. He's a teacher, and I'm so sorry, but I can't remember his wife's name. They gave me food and everything too. They were giving me Indian food.
That's nice.
Yeah, they went to a wedding, and I think it was Arizona, and they were coming back from a wedding, and they gave me some food, and we just had like this. I was telling them about my crazy theories, and then we were just going back and forth. We had a couple of disagreements, but mostly it was very just like. It was real cool to get along with him. And Ben and his wife, I'm sorry. I know she's going to be a teacher. She's going to be a teacher. I apologize. I can't remember anything. It's so difficult. I don't want to mess it up. And, but it was real cool. They said they were going to check out the podcast. If they do, send me a message. We'll link up. But, it was awesome to just meet some like random people. And we were just chopping it up for the whole, it was almost a 2-hour flight. And we did not stop talking not one time, like the entire time. It was so freaking cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was all
They sound
awesome.
like really nice people.
Yeah, so shout out to Ben and his wife. And I know good luck on your journey. She's going to become a teacher. Nice. She feel like it's something that's going to be bringing fulfillment to her. So, and I appreciate the food very much. It was spicy, but it was delicious. I loved it. All right, okay. One thing that we talked about in the plane was cloning. You remember that? You remember a couple years back they were talking about cloning?
Yeah, like cloning and then putting a chip in came after that.
No, cloning, they actually got to clone some kind of sheep, right? They actually did. Oh. So they actually cloned the sheep. But then what happened? We haven't heard from it. Why?
Yeah, where is that sheep?
That's what I'm saying. Where is the sheep? Not to mention what happened to cloning in general. This is not a conspiracy. This was actually in the news. Every network was covering it. The sheep was born and cloned, but something happened and somebody is just not saying anything about it. Like, in fact, let me do something.
It's probably in Area 51.
It's a good question because, like, if you look, let me look at it.
So cloning sheep.
Yes, there was an actual cloning of a sheep that happened, and there is an article talking about the sheep. All right, hold up. We was not ready, and that was my fault. Where is cloning now?
How long ago was this?
20 years ago. So 20 years ago is when the sheep was cloned, right? And after that, we haven't really heard anything, and no way that it wasn't an important thing, right?
Yeah, because it worked, right?
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm just curious to know why, where, what happened to cloning. If you know anything more about it, let me know, because I haven't seen any news or anything. It'll be newsworthy, right? To cover like what happened, because I haven't seen anything. And the reason why I'm saying that is because our next Latino that we're going to talk about, he is being on the news recently for the move that he made. So, at one time, there was even some conspiracy theories that he was a clone of Maradona, because the way that he moved and the way that he made some goals, you compare him, like videos, you know how to do comparison videos, and it was almost like the same type of movement. Like, what? And there's people that talked about, like, what? He had to be some kind of clone from Maradona, because there's no way he's just doing exactly the same moves. We're talking about La Mano de Dios, where Maradona dribbled from one side to the other and then made a header, but it wasn't really a header. It was the hand. He went to head the ball, but he hit it with his hand. And you can't use your hand in soccer, right? So he pushed it into the goal and made a goal. And Messi made something like that, like real similar. Oh, I just told you what we're going to talk about. Lionel Andrés Messi. Lionel Andrés Messi, a.k.a.
Leo Messi.
Yeah, he was born on June 24th, 1987 in Rosario, Argentina. He's a professional football player that recently moved to what club?
Ligue 1 club.
In Paris Saint-Germain. He's the captain of the Argentina team. And he's been making the move, the news cycle for the longest time. I'm a little behind on it. Why? Because he left FC Barcelona in Spain. Okay, so his story is he was born with some kind of syndrome, like growth syndrome. They call it idiopathic short status. So pretty much when he was young, he was diagnosed with this. He started playing soccer. Different clubs talked to him. Nobody really wanted to take him in for the same reason. And then FC Barcelona made the move to bring him in at 13 years old, give him treatment, and start playing for FC Barcelona. Their investment paid off because he became one of the greatest players that ever touched in our generation. I mean, I talked to you before about the greatest of all time, right? I don't like that term. You know why I don't like that term? Greatest of all time? Tell me why I have an issue with that term.
Because it singles you out.
Not only that, but greatest of all time. Like, we really know when time is going to end? That we don't know, maybe in 50 years there's going to be a Messi, a Maradona, and Ronaldo combined type of player. You know what I mean? So best of our generation right now that we've seen at this time, like, without a doubt, he's one of the best scorers, dribblers. The ball look like it's got a magnet towards him. Like, you know the way he dribbles? They call him, his name is the Pulga, but they call him supposedly the Pulga because of his size. But I really feel like, have you ever caught a Pulga?
Yeah.
You caught a Pulga before?
A little tiny one.
Well, you did? Well, anyways, they're kind of hard to catch.
Yeah.
So he moves really crazily. I don't know if you ever seen highlights of it, but dude is a scorer. And I see why there will be like a lot of issues with him leaving. So here's because I talked to my brother, right, and my dad about it, and then like knowing the backstory that since he was a child, 13 years old, and they paid for the treatment and everything, and of course Barcelona got their money back for all their like Barcelona. Excuse me, FC Barcelona is known to be one of the greatest teams in our lifetime, our generation. But he is one of the reasons why they are. Don't get me wrong, Barcelona has great talent. They brought some of the best talent in the world, but at the same time, this is the guy that's leading the way in that. But being all that, and all of a sudden, our theory is that. So he he expressed that he was dissatisfied with FC Barcelona, and I see why the main people will be mad. Be like, dude, you were like sick. We brought you and cure you and gave you the treatment you needed, and then he apologized. So this not really apology, but he kind of want to backtrack his comments about being dissatisfied. But then I think the people that have the money, they'll be like, nah. But then there's also rumors that the team itself is some kind of debt. I don't know how. I don't know how that's possible when they are one of the greatest teams that we know. Somebody's probably not doing something shady with the money. I don't know if there is. I'm not accusing anything, but it's how you're not going to have your finances right if you're one of the best teams there to be known in this lifetime. Like one of the clubs that will be known. So finally, something happened. He had to leave, and there was a bunch of drama. He gave a speech. He cried because, again, he was like a child, 13 years old, and he finally left. So he's in Paris now. Yeah, he's in Paris. What do you think about that?
It's interesting.
Yeah, you think it's
at 13 though?
Yeah, and they paid.
Might have been scary.
Well, he was good. Everybody knew he was good. As soon as they saw him, they knew he had talent. Like, you could tell. It's just that the treatments that they had to give him that were pretty expensive. His family couldn't afford, because his dad was a regular factory worker, and his mom cleaned houses, so they didn't have the money that they needed. And supposedly, I think one of the things that, so Messi, so what is the biggest thing that you can have in soccer, world soccer? What is the biggest award that you can get? Or trophies?
One of the cups.
The World Cup?
Yeah.
That is like the ultimate. That's like pretty much the only one that he doesn't have yet.
Really?
Yeah. The debates between always him and Ronaldo from Portugal, and he's really good too, but it's just just about every player that interviews about and ask about Messi is like, he is like the best. Like, there's no comparison to. Like, all the players in the world that they bring to him, they're like right here, right? They say, we all like, they're up level. They're like the best. But this fool is like over here. Like, so I'm pointing at my hand as the levels. Like, I'm like one's level, but then you're talking about 2 or 3 levels ahead of everybody else that is the best in the world. That's how good he is.
Wow.
At 17 years old, when he debuted in 2004-2005 season with FC Barcelona, he scored his first goal, being the youngest player to ever score a goal for the league. What do you think about that?
That's a big deal.
All right. What happened in Argentina 2008?
The Argentina captain, 2008, captured gold in the Olympics, but still no World Cup.
Yeah, no World Cup yet. And that's the thing. He does help kids with cancer. I think for whatever, I don't know if I see him as like the leader type, like the I know that he's a captain and everything, but I think supposedly he has some kind of autism that they said is like real, like rare. But at the same time, I can see, because he's a little bit awkward, as you can tell. I never interacted with him, right? But just looking at him, you kind of see like maybe a little shyness, but at the same time, they feel like it's for the same reason that he's just like that. Like, his interaction with people and things like that. And they say, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if he has been diagnosed, but it might be for some kind of autism that he might have. And maybe that's the reason why he hasn't got his team. Even though he's the best, after a while, you need a little bit of... first of all, there's no such thing as alpha male, beta male, this retarded talk about alpha female, but that's made up. That's not real. There is real leadership qualities among humans that we do have, and some people possess, right? But as far as all that talk about that, like, no, dude, you're just acting like an animal in captivity and trying to be territorial, like, this is my spot. But there's no... Do you believe in those terms? Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
You think they exist?
No.
This guy this guy, a long time ago, right? So the origin of the story is that this guy researched wolves in captivity and realized that some of the bigger wolves are like they were very aggressive and territorial, so he called them the alpha. Years later, he studied the same wolves, or not just those same wolves, but the wolves in the wild, and realized that they don't work like that in the wild. So he wanted to trace back that wasn't correct. He made a correction. There's no such thing as alpha male, but too late, because our little minds love titles and love to put ourselves as labels about being alphas and this and that. Ran with it, and he couldn't backtrack and correct it anymore because he already took a life of his own. And people love those terms. Y'all love to put labels on each other. But get the part of just being a human being and whatever. We're still a title, whatever, right? But what else do we have? But y'all be loving to put like, I'm an alpha this.
I heard the same thing about The Lion King, how they portray that there's a Mufasa and then you got to take the kingdom, and in the wild, like, it doesn't work that way. There's not one male king.
No.
Like, all of them just
there is a dominant
the
there's a dominant, and it happens in all the animal kingdoms. Like all the animals, there's most of the times there is a god. It's not an alpha, it's just the guy.
It's just in their group, but not in the whole country.
He has the better genes, so it's called natural selection. So he has the better genes. Mostly he's the bigger guy, and of course he's going to impregnate more females. Why? Because the likelihood of offsprings being better and healthier and bigger and better, and the likelihood of them surviving longer makes sense, right? So that's all it is. There's nothing about all this other stuff, but people love labels, bro.
Like, Your Highness.
I'm a this. Hey, and I'm sorry if you're gonna take offense to it right now. You're probably gonna cringe. You're like, I'm a this and that. I'm a close the channel right now. Like, okay, that's fine. Don't take it personal. I'm just saying, because I'm attacking your identity of the label that you put yourself in, that I'm this, that all of a sudden you're gonna take it personal, bro. It's not. Look it up. Google it. Google about that. It's real. I know you don't want to because it's part of your, or ladies, it's part of your personality, but you look into it. That's what really happened. That is the real story behind those terms, and they're not real. Yes, there's definitely leadership qualities, and I told you can portray that in people if you put them in suits and make them look that. Why do you think we have a president? Why do you think they make them look a certain way and have them shaped? There's a reason for it. It's not, they don't put them in there by accident. It's because we kind of want to look at somebody. And there's a test. I'll go into a test later on about it. We'll talk about leadership at another time, and I'll tell you why you can be manipulated into thinking there's a leader and there's really not, or we're so brainwashed into thinking that all of a sudden we just believe of like a, not a dominant but authority figure, and we can take commands from them without even realizing that, going against our will, kind of, even our better sense, and still do things that without us wanting to, because we have authority figures that might tell us. Anyways, moving on. So in 2012, he set a record for most goals in that calendar year. In 2019, he also was named Ballon d'Oro winner of Europe, and has won that 6 times. So, fun fact about him. Tell me why he's named the way he is.
Well, he was named after Lionel Richie because his parents were big fans.
That's a fun fact. I saw it online, so you know it's real. But if you know it's not real, let me know. But supposedly that's the reason why he's named the way he is. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. That his parents used to groove and they named him after that. Do you know why you were named Amy? I mean, if you don't mind me sharing your real name.
Yeah, I do. My mom... Well, this is a story that I've heard, but she told me that when she had me, she asked the nurses, what's the most American name you have? And that's what they gave her, Amy.
You know what? You know, some parents do that on purpose for the same reason, to have better opportunity for their kids whenever they're making applications.
That's why she did it, too.
Yeah. No, that's real. That was like, she was thinking for your future. As crazy as it thinks, because people be looking into this stuff.
But then my last name is still Hernandez. Like, really, like...
Maybe she was thinking you'll get married young to an American, and you have an American name. It makes sense. So I'm saying, like, it does make sense. So why she would do it, but she's not the only one. There's a lot of Latinos. Just like they didn't want them to learn Spanish, the same thing. Trying to make the most American name possible.
Yeah, I've actually met a few Latinas who are named Amy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know a few actually.
And we were around the same age.
Yeah, my tax lady, Amy. Her name is Amy, and she's probably about your age. Yeah.
I went to high school with one, and she kept skipping school all the time. So they'd always call, my parents' house and tell me to come to school, but they would never look at.
Confuse y'all?
Yeah, because they never looked at the middle name. They just find Amy Hernandez and call my house.
Notice I just disclosed her first name. She disclosed her full name.
Only in this capítulo.
Yeah, on this capítulo. Never again will be seen. Mm-hmm. All right. So, what is the kind of records he holds, Messi?
He holds the most goals in La Liga. Mm-hmm. And La Liga, the European League, season 50. Most hat tricks in La Liga. He has 36. And the UEFA Champions League, he has 8. And most assists in La Liga, 192. And La Liga season, 21. And La Copa America, 17.
Yep. So these is the most recent statistics that I got from the internet. So don't blame me. The UEFA Champions League 8. La Liga, which is where he FC at that time. So now he's moved on to something else. He has scored over 750 senior career goals for club and country. Ooh. And has the most goals ever by a player from a single club.
It's impressive.
That's a lot of goals. That's a lot of goals. Anything else you have for Messi?
Nope.
It's very interesting story for him for the simple fact that the way he played out now that he moved on and he's all over the news for this, and also the story that goes way back again when he was very young, that people saw that he was he had a talent. And a lot of clubs passed on, like relevant clubs passed him on because of his growth hormone, but deficiency. But still, FC took a chance at that time. And again, I think it was a mutual benefit for them because at the end of the day, he ended up giving them lots of trophies at the same time that they compensated him. Mm-hmm. Whatever the reason is that they decided to part ways, he's with another club now. I'm pretty sure he'll be back years later, maybe to retire there or maybe go back to the homeland, Argentina, and retire there. But, yeah. And you know one thing that he does when he celebrates? He always celebrates kind of like this, always points up. And there was different things that I've seen that the reason why he did that. One of them is, religious because he has a lot of religious tattoos. He has a lot of tattoos too. You might not be able to see it, but he has a lot of ink. But he goes like this because I think, this is all my assumption, either because he thanks God or his grandma, because when he was young, he almost stopped playing. He stopped playing for a long time because his grandma passed away when he was young. And he didn't want to play it for a long time. So he finally actually came out. And then I don't know if it's a reminder for his grandma or God, but I think I'm in the right direction of the reason why he celebrates like this all the time. Yeah. All right, you hungry?
Yes.
All right. We're going to get some grub after this. Check it out. We have our next Latino. You know what ceviche is?
Of course, yeah.
What is ceviche?
Ceviche is good.
Okay, what is it?
It's a mix of shrimp. It's like a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. So ceviche, if you never heard ceviche, we'll probably do another episode on ceviche by itself. But the most common, at least for Mexicanos, because there's different countries that have their own ceviche too, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that for a long time.
It's made a bunch of different ways.
There's different ways to do it, but the main thing for ceviche is that is the you can say the foundation of the ceviche is mostly fish, some kind of fish, cooked with lemon juice. Mm-hmm. So you put the fish, you cut it in cubes, and you squeeze the lemon juice, and you let it sit for a long time, and then you can garnish it with different things like that. With this next gentleman, his name is Douglas Rodriguez. He took it to another level, and I'm going to tell you all about that right now. Douglas Rodriguez was born on July 8th in 1965. He's 56 years old in New York, and he's an executive chef and co-owner for Patria in New York, and premier Nuevo Latino restaurant, and that's what they call it. Okay, so the Nuevo Latino, if you didn't know what that is, that stands for some kind of modern and more sophisticated version of Latin American food. Nuevo Latino, that's the term they use. I don't know if it's still relevant, but that's what his style of cooking is. Okay. He was born from Cuban parents and moved to Miami when he was young, when they were young, but he was born in New York. And after going to school and he began loving cooking. Like, he used to love cooking. Like, have you ever heard of Nuevo Latino? Because I never heard of it until I started looking into Nuevo Latino cooking.
No, not in cooking.
Not in cooking either, but it's pretty cool. So, tell me, who inspired him?
Who inspired him?
Julia Childs. Have you ever heard of Julia Childs?
Yeah.
You heard of her? Well, tell me about her, because I didn't know about him. She's the one that inspired him.
I hear she's a really funny lady. She knows a lot. So she's really, like, informative.
Okay, so she used to do a cooking show. I don't even know if she's still alive. Let me look her up. Hold up.
I think she is.
She's gone? She passed away?
Oh,
All right. Yep, she died in August 13 in 2004. So the lady was a very well-known, like, she was on TV, and it was she had a cooking channel. I think it was one of the first ones, right? One of the first very few cooking channels way back in the days. So he said that he used to, like, fight his, like, to watch, like, he didn't want to watch cartoons or anything. He wanted to watch her cook.
Oh.
Because for whatever reason, and she has influenced a lot of chefs, not only him, but has influenced a lot of, like, people.
I bet, like, Martha Stewart.
I'm almost for certain that she has some influence. Pretty much like a lot of them, a lot of not only Latinos but chefs were influenced by this lady, which I didn't know who she was until. But it's pretty cool. Do you remember watching her at all?
Yeah, while I was growing up.
Really?
My mom would watch her.
She used to watch it. Did she learn how to cook anything?
I don't know.
No? You don't know?
I don't remember. She usually stuck to Mexican food.
Your mom's? But she never tried some of her recipes?
Maybe.
Okay.
She had me trying a lot of stuff when I was growing up.
That's cool.
And I was always picky, so I never liked anything.
I know, right?
I do now.
You like more? So your palate changed? You're less picky now? Okay, cool. All right, so tell me where who he went to school with. In my notes.
The Yuca restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so pretty much this is what it is, right? Like Nuevo Latino flavors, and this is what I picture whenever he thinks about cooking. Like, there's no limitations to as far as cooking, right? Like, he'll make like a Cuban dish, but he'll do different Latino ingredients, like maybe something that they might not use. He might bring something else into it and replace it and try it out, and try to make it more white tablecloth, meaning more sophisticated, where people can, like, more fine dine than anything.
Like fancy.
Yeah, fancy stuff like that. So that's a lot of the things that he was doing and continues to do, is like literally straight up just changing recipes, bringing different things. Focusing, before it used to be just trying to get the name out, but now it's more like the ingredients. He's real focused on the ingredients for what goes into it. And one of the things that he did, he has a book about ceviche, and he ceviches is like no ceviche I ever even heard of. You talking about a black ceviche? You talk about coconut, where, like, uses coconut for some of the ceviche dishes, like all kinds of crazy. I don't know who gave him the title, if he gave himself the title, but if you have the book of ceviche, it's kind of hard not to claim that you are the king of ceviche, because this dude loves ceviche, like loves ceviche, to the point, as I mentioned, he has a book and, like, literally all kinds of stuff. Black ceviche, have you ever heard of it? He uses all kinds of stuff to make it black, like color black, and he uses octopus. He uses like all kinds of stuff. Like, you can think of like fish. There's like a fish type of thing. He probably already made a ceviche about it.
What about eel?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's one in his books. I wouldn't doubt it at all whatsoever. He literally loves ceviche, and every just about YouTube video that you see, he's making a ceviche dish. One of his recipes that he has, I'm going to incorporate it. And because I do a cauliflower ceviche. So if you don't eat fish or meat or whatever, and if you ever want to find a replacement, YouTube cauliflower ceviche. And if you like the fishy flavor, you can add some seaweed. And it's so freaking good. Like cauliflower ceviche is like delicious.
You should bring some.
I will bring some. Actually, old hairstyle Des that does my hair, I owe her some ceviche. So my bad, Des. I'll get you soon. But it's crazy, right? That you can make a ceviche out of a cauliflower. And one of the recipes that he did, I saw, and I'm going to incorporate some of the ingredients that he used to make my own ceviche. He makes it like, I watch him cook, and it's like, you follow his instructions, like, it's really easy, like, to follow along. It's like, oh, okay. Simple.
So it's like step 1, do this.
Yep.
Step 2, do this.
Yep, pretty much. Before you know it, it looks like a huge, gigantic, real complicated recipe, but when he breaks it down, it's like, it's not that hard at all. And when I saw one of his recipes that I'm going to use, the one with the coconut milk, I'm like, oh, interesting. And I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to make some of my ceviche and make my own recipe with the cauliflower. I'm pretty sure you'll be disappointed because I'm not using any fish. But he is very into believing that we should be better, right? Even though the food that he's making is like, look, we need to use less manteca and use more olive oil, more whole grains, and more brown rice instead of regular rice or things like that. So even though he is a chef, and chefs are known to be hefty, you know, because that's how you know he's a good chef. I think it's a myth, but I see what you're talking about. And he's real advocate about that. He talks about that. We do, and it's a good point, right? We Latinos, I'm sorry, I said it many times over, and I post funny stuff about it, but we really do overeat a lot. We really do. We can eat really good, and don't overeat, but we don't know. And I know it's comfort, it's delicious, and it's awesome, but it's not the way, man. We're going to be here for a long time, and we're Latinos are always fighting diabetes, so that's one of the ways where you prevent. Tell me about the Manhattan Latin.
The Manhattan Latin is a blazing trail with this cuisine in Patria in New York City. It opened since February 1994. Chef Rodriguez has already had the critics raving once it opened. So an endless source of energy. He's produced a cooking video in Spanish and is working on a dual language cookbook.
Yeah, so that book is actually out. That one's outdated. And Chef Rodriguez has been nominated twice for the Rising Star Chef by James Beard Foundation. So he's been I didn't even know you get awards in cooking. It's the first time I ever heard that you even get awards in cooking. But to be even nominated to any kind of award for doing what you like love to do and being innovative and coming up with a new term as far as Nuevo Latino. So again, he was right. He made a prediction because somebody asked him in one interview, what do you see Latino like? And that was like 7 years ago, an interview that he did. What do you see Latino cuisine being like? Well, I see, you know, can't really like Latinos coming out with different things like that. And think about it. Right now, to this day, Taco Tuesday. You know what I mean? Can't escape it. Tortillas. Can't escape it. You know? Here in Texas, at least, where we stay, what is now like a standard for gas stations? To have what?
Elotes.
And a taqueria. Mm-hmm. And every single one of them. I don't know where you live or what part of the world you are, but the fact that Latino, and that's just, we talking about Mexicans because Mexican food because what's what we are used to, but I know that there's a whole lot more of where you can get some pupusas more. Like literally, I told you about the spot that was next, like close by that you didn't know about. Like,
yeah,
you know, they're popping up all over the place for the same reason, and he predicted it. He said it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's just there's no around it, and it's true. you can't escape it now. It's everywhere. It's mainstream. Everybody, joining the way. But his style of cooking, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen the way that he cooks, he like tortilla. Instead of using a tortilla in one of his dishes, he did like a flauta, but he replaced it with some other type of kind of like the same texture of tortilla, but not a tortilla. It was like some kind of I forgot what it was. Anyways, it looked just like a flauta, and it was Mexican, but it wasn't tortilla. So those are the things that he be doing in his dishes to change it up, and that's what they call it Nuevo Latino. And I'm telling you, the way that he's cooking, I feel like it's just like no boundaries, no, like, okay, so we used to doing it like this, but let me do it like this.
So he has no limits
as far as his cooking, and I think it should be like that, because I think cooking should be that way. Like sometimes I'll be posting stuff and making up some stuff, but I just be coming up with my own stuff. Sometimes I see a recipe, and sometimes I'm like, oh, let me try it out. Or sometimes in my head, it just pops some stuff, and we're like, I bet that would good. Sometimes I'm wrong, and it's terrible. But for the most part, it'd be like, oh, it's so freaking good. And I come up with my own little recipe of different things.
I've done that too.
Yeah. All right. So at the age of 13, even at that time, he had already cookbooks, pots, and all that stuff. So even at the age of 13, young, he already knew. He worked at the restaurant. He was 14 years old. And, even then, he already knew. He already knew at that time. He already had a passion for cooking. Tell me the last point at the age of 24. What happened? The very last point.
Well, when he was 24, Chef Rodriguez was a celebrated Miami chef. He won Chef of the Year Miami, an award from the Chef of America, and receiving his first and second Rising Chef of the Year nominations by the James Beard Foundation.
So the last bullet point was from when he was nominated, but then he actually did win some awards. And again, before, he used to be more focused on the presentation, the dish. Later, he moved on focusing on the ingredients, the actual ingredients, being more organic, being more fresh, being more like just good ingredients. And that's what I like about it. And if I have an opportunity, whatever restaurant he goes to, hopefully I can find some kind of options for me. I'm going to go check it out. I wish I would have known when I went to Florida and New York, some of his restaurants, because I would want to try it.
That would have been
You want to
cool.
go to New York next week? All right, let's go. Boom.
All right.
We're over there. All right. Anything else for this gentleman? Do you like ceviche?
Yeah.
So you like the shrimp ones, right?
Yeah.
Mostly?
With the shrimp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like avocados, but I put it in there and I'll eat
Aguacate.
it. Aguacates.
I like to say avocados, you said?
Avocados.
I ain't making fun of you, but it's pretty cool what you said.
Yes, you are.
All right. So, anything else? Last thoughts on Jorge Ramos, Lionel Messi, or Mr. Douglas Rodriguez? No?
They're all pretty creative people.
I know,
Like,
right?
push the boundaries on everything they did.
And continue to do, because all of them are still making a wave. Like, all of them are still here and contribute. Like Jorge Ramos, still fighting for immigrants. It's crazy, right? Because for him, as much as, and again, we just bring you as much as we can possibly. I'm not a journalist. She's not a journalist. We bring you as much as we can. Some of our notes are not. That's my fault. Not in the way it needs to be more organized, but at the same time, we're not journalists. Some of this information is what we got online and things like that, and we bring you people examples that are doing something. Even with him, of all the things that he's doing positive for the community, even for immigrants, then he still catches heat. You know why?
Why?
His abortion stand, I think. And even his immigration stand and his religion stand, he catches heat for that, because a lot of Latinos are Catholic, and I don't think he attacks them, but he wants to. I don't know if he's still hurt or whatever the case might be, but so we're not saying these people are saints. We're not saying to worship them, but at least know that there's an example of somebody fighting for immigrants is still in the spotlight constantly all the time. Which I know you don't have to agree with the way he, and that's the other thing too that I dislike. So I feel like the problem with our world is that we want to feel so special of everything that we do is so important, not being one of 7.9 billion people, that we want to push our beliefs to be the right one. And that's not cool. Why can't we just, if you're not harming nobody, if you're not causing any harm on nobody, if you're not like literally committing crimes and things like that, then why can't you just do whatever you would like? You know, we always want to push, like, there's, in the line of religion, when it comes to it, there's Christianity, top religions. There's Christianity, there's Hindu, and then there's Buddhist, and then different religions. And we're talking about billions of people within these religions. You know what I mean? So you see why there'll be a lot of conflict within the same ones, because they want to push their whatever it is on them, because it's kind of hard when you're not even the top religion, but you want to push your belief on. Just let people be whatever they would like to, you know? I'm pretty sure they all have their own relationship with, I think the creator didn't make things for you to push on others. And how can 3 billion people, let's say one religion, and 2 billion people another religion, be all correct or not correct? You know what I mean? Like,
and even those within the religion, they're all divided.
That is so
and
weird.
Give their own opinions, and
that is so weird.
Then they change and update things when
so anyway,
it should never be touched.
We getting too much into that, but again, do your own. Like, just let people be what they are. They want to worship what they want, as long as they're in peace and they're good. I think that's what it's all about. And that's
just be a good person.
Yeah, because again, even being the good person that we see Jorge Ramos, because anything that I've seen about him, there hardly ever any controversy of any. You know how there's always scandals of people? Never seen it. Lionel Messi, tax evasion. He has tax problem before. He's done an amazing things with soccer and one of the greatest to go down, but he has been in the news for tax problems. Douglas Rodriguez, first time I ever looked into him. Never heard anything bad about him or anything like that. Again, but we are humans within, like, good and bad things. You know what I mean? Like, we can be this, but then we can also be that, or we can have a bad day, or we can have a bad something, like something that happened that wasn't the best decision that we decided to make. But at the end of the day, people want to, like, straight up crucify you for, like, not being like the way that they perceive you to be, right? You have to be this way because my mind not made you to be this way. So if you go off that, then I don't like you anymore. You know what I mean? So weird. And it's all within us. That's crazy. All right. Well, that's all you have? Nothing else? Miss DJ Vara, did I disclose your name? My bad.
Don't remember that.
Yeah. Don't.
You didn't hear anything.
If you wherever you are listening from, we do distribute this in different platforms, where it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to. Give us a comment, a like, let us know what you think, what we need to improve. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. Follow us on all social media, same thing. We are growing. We're going to continue to put different episodes for you, at least let you know that these Latinos are here doing things, especially this right now. They are still alive and making a difference, and still being out in the world. Again, Lionel Messi helping with kids with cancer and things like that. And Douglas Rodriguez changing cuisine and making Nuevo Latino food itself, be known in the world.
Yeah, just being innovative, creative, passionate about what they do.
And winning awards for it, and know how important it is. All right. This was the Global Latin Factor podcast. This is the Global Latin Factor podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. And remember, we are just like you. We are the spice in this global melting pot that it is the world. We see you until next time.
Todos en este país han estudiado